I would say this deck, if it draws a 2-drop, has a lot of powerful cards, has some nice ways to interact. Overall, though, not great. Definitely the curve is off. The curve is too high on this deck. There's a few picks we could have made differently. The Fireblazer pick at the beginning. But, at the beginning you kind of want to favor the more powerful card a lot of the time because generally you have a chance to pick up the more expensive stuff. So here we got to think about our replaces. Here I think I'll replace... I think Sunseer is a slightly better 3 than Sword, especially because I know that I'm playing against Reva, who tends to be pretty aggressive. And I'm also, I think, going to get rid of this Dire Tide Frenzy. Usually, a lot of times you want to kind of get rid of situational cards in the beginning, and I would much rather draw a more proactive 2-drop than Ephemeral Shroud and be able to play that instead. So I want to replace the maximum number of cards. So here, I don't really want to replace any of these cards. But anyway, what I was saying is you want to replace the maximum number of cards so you have the highest chance of hitting a 2-drop that you actually want to play, as opposed to playing on an Ephemeral Shroud just to ramp your mana. So here, I'm definitely going to move 2 spaces forward. Really standard opening play on turn 1 is to play a minion either here or here. It's the same. It doesn't matter. I want to hang on to the Shroud just because it's a good card. Having 1 Dispel is pretty good. Dampening Wave is a really nice card that I'll probably be playing, once I play this, potentially. So I think that we're just going to play Rock Pulverizer. And you know what? Sunseer is just good if my opponent's aggressive. Keeping my life total high tends to be pretty important about these, which is why I want to keep this. But I do want to have a chance to, since I have a decent curve, I want to be able to kind of replace into my bigger minions. And I just have more powerful cards than this in my deck. So I feel like I should replace. And I want to play Primal Shield Master next turn. I kind of want to keep this Shroud, just in case. It's nice to have that. I'll just end the turn. I'm not sure about that. I'm not 100% sure about that replace. I'll stand by it. But yeah, for sure, almost for sure, my next turn is going to be walk this up here, walk 2 spaces forward, get an attack off on what my opponent plays, and then play Primal Shield Master. Unless for some reason they play something that I really want to, like Ephemeral Shroud this turn. Like that is an example. That is an example of a card I would want Ephemeral Shroud. So this card is really good. Oh my god. Alright, so this is a problem. My opponent's turn 1 was extremely good. So I think what I'm going to do here... Oh yeah, this is tricky. Alright, so I can either walk up here, walk down here, play Sunseer here, and then Ephemeral Shroud this. That prevents my opponent from drawing cards. Or, so this is a 2/4. Whenever it takes damage, you put a Phoenix Fire. A Phoenix Fire is a 2-mana spell that deals 3 damage to a minion or general, which is pretty strong. I can equip my Adamantite Claws and just kill it in 1 hit, which is pretty good value. I mean, my opponent still gets a Phoenix Fire, but... And then they get to just, like, attack me and attack me. My other option is just to sort of develop my board out a little bit. But I definitely want to kill this before my opponent can draw multiple Phoenix Fires. Or Shroud it. I think I'm just going to make the play where I equip this and attack. And I still don't really want to replace. I mean, I still think that this is pretty good. Unfortunately, my opponent can just use this and the Phoenix Fire to clear out my my thing. So, not great. If my opponent has a way to put this behind me, that's especially bad. Like if they have a Mist Dragon Seal or something of that nature, that ends up being pretty bad for me. But at the same time, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We'll just have to see what they do and then react from there. But it's like not really very good value out of this to like use my 4-drop to like trade with their turn 1, like use my turn 2 play to trade with my opponent's turn 1 play, and then use my turn 2 play to trade with my opponent's turn 1 play, take a bunch of damage, and not really be up many cards because they got the Phoenix Fire back. At least my opponent seems to be in a tricky spot, which is kind of nice. I can play Primus Shieldmaster. My opponent is worried about taking damage from me, which is kind of cool. If I want a Gorehorn, huh? Alright. Well, that's pretty good. That has Backstab. Pretty strong ability. So what I'm going to do here, let's see. Alright, so at this point, maybe I should have replaced this earlier, but we're just going to get rid of the Sunseer, because there's pretty much no chance that I replace it. That's quite good. Okay, so what we're going to do is walk up this way. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is walk here. So my opponent's minions both have Backstab, which is an ability that says if they're behind you and they attack you, you don't deal them any damage and they deal you damage. They deal you extra damage. So they have to be in the space behind you, which is right here. So what I'm going to do is walk behind my Primus Shieldmaster and then play it right here. And that means that if my opponent has a way to move their minions, they can't get behind my Primus Shieldmaster, which is pretty good. Ooh, and that's an excellent draw. So if I, depending on what my opponent does, if they try to like set something up. Also, I didn't say anything, but I moved this here. Yeah, so Mist Dragon Seal. They're going to put this behind me, which is fine. It's going to deal me some damage and take a charge off of my artifact, which I don't mind. If they would like to trade with my Primus Shieldmaster, that's okay. Like if they want to attack this and use a Phoenix Fire on my Primus Shieldmaster, that's alright, because my 1 card traded for 2 of their cards, which is really good. And then next turn, I can Ephemeral Shroud this thing, and then hopefully deal with, after it attacks it gets +1/+1. Oh, weird. I thought that, that's weird. Alright, well, I stand corrected. Healing Mystic. Okay. That's kind of a shame. Alright, so we're in a little bit of a pickle here. This is, we're going to kind of see the power of Dire-Tide Frenzy, thankfully. Or, excuse me, the power, so I'm going to definitely get rid of this Fractal Replication, first of all. That's sort of the problem with Fractal Replication. Okay, so this is, alright, this is excellent. So now we're going to kind of see what we get to do here. So, what's going to happen is I am going to walk here. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to Dampening Wave this card from my opponent. I'm going to attack it. That helps me save that. Then this is going to go, I think, here to prevent this from potentially walking down here. And I'm going to give myself an attack. I put this here so I could use my Bloodborne spell. It might have been a little better to put it like here so it provoked all 3 of them. And I guess one of the issues with this now is that my opponent can back up and put a use their Bloodborne spell to put an archer right here, or a little ranged creature right here. So it's possible that I was a little conservative putting this here, because I maybe actually wanted to just get it out of range because this is a pretty good attack. So yeah, this was actually probably wrong. I could have walked this this way to provoke the general to make it harder for my opponent to hide a Heartseeker from me. Now, I don't love my spot. I think I'm probably not favored to win this game. Okay, so my opponent deals 2 to that thing. Ephemeral Shroud. Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. But the good news is that I'll at least get to use Dire Tide Frenzy quite effectively here. Oh, unless they want to trade this off, which they probably do. So that's actually less good. Yeah, I forgot they had that attack there. Alright. Okay, so something like... Let's see. So yeah, we're in a pickle here. We are in a pickle. I think I got to get rid of Eggmorph, which is unfortunate because now my opponent can just play something good, and then that ends up being pretty bad for me. So I think what's going to happen is that I'm going to walk up here. I'm going to clear this out the way. Unfortunately, I lose my artifact for like basically no value because I was going to kill that anyway. I'm going to Ephemeral Shroud this. I'm going to Lava Lance this. I'm going to use my Bloodborne spell and play this. Alright, so we're both down to not many cards in hand. This is the situation I sort of don't mind getting to a lot of the time with this deck in theory, because I have some really powerful plays. I have some pretty powerful expensive plays. One of the issues that ended up with this deck is that my expensive plays are not that good. Like, they're good, but they're not great, you know? And, so, you know, even if I get to the late game, this draft was not a huge success. Or this Gauntlet was not a huge success. Which is not that unusual. I mean, it does happen. But, you know, overall not ideal. Uh-oh. The enemy general moves and attacks as if it was a battle pet. What a weird fucking card. And I just... Oh, that's really a shame. Alright, well, we're probably going to lose this game. So I'm just going to attack this. Excuse my language, by the way. Not ideal. Okay, so getting rid of that Eggmorph was pretty terrible. And drawing Kujata was also pretty terrible. So we're probably going to lose. How can I not lose? I cannot lose by, I suppose, walking over here, playing this, and putting this here. I mean, the good news is that my opponent only has 2 cards in their hand, and I do have some pretty decent draws. The bad news is that this game is going to get harder and harder because my opponent's going to be able to make more of these. I don't have a ton of good answers. I mean, something like a Plasma Storm could definitely catch me back up, for sure. Something like a... It's possible I should have held on to that Dire Tide Frenzy. It just was so bad. It was just so bad. And I didn't even play the Kujata because I'd rather just keep it in my hand to replace it as something bigger. Yeah, I've literally never seen this card before. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty hard to beat. It's especially good against Voth, because they rely so much on attacking with their general. My opponent is just tanking forever, forever and ever and ever. Alright. Opponent is just trying to move in for the kill, which is understandable. Oh my goodness. Alright, well. Battle pets go. I attack that. Okay. Something good? Nothing good. We are going to concede, because we are dead. No matter what I do, my opponent is going to kill me next turn. I guess maybe that's not true. Oh, no, yeah, because they have the 1 extra damage from that. Alright, so I will say it doesn't surprise me that we lost to Reva. A new armory product. 10 spirit orbs. Huh. Alright, who knew? Alright, our first loss.